Good morning, friends. Again, welcome to the online class, Ikeda's History class. Dear friends, you know, history of world is a great living drama written by the deeds of mankind, and all the human beings have been taking part in this wondrous and thrilling drama called history. Friends, world where we are living witness many events, many significant events. Today we will discuss one top events of this world, that is the French revolutions of 1789. So before going to discuss about these significant events, I would like to share with you that what do you mean by revolution? Revolution and why revolutions took place. So what is revolutions? You know, dear friend, revolutions, I means it is particularly that comes from the Latin words revolutia, which means a great change in a existing systems, and why these revolutions are taken place. Revolutions took place due to some reason of past or the development of futures like this. Today our topic is this one of the top revolutions of the world, that is the French revolutions of 1789. Dear friend, after the American War of Independence, where for the first time the people they raised their voice against the colonial and imperial form of government. They demanded for the democratic rights, but these revolutions, the 1789 revolutions, here they demanded for the rights of men and citizens, liberty, equality and fraternity. Liberty, equality and fraternity. Friends, in order to understand the French Revolution, it is necessary to examine the institutions and the system for what reasons the revolutions occurred or took place. Definitely, we can say that due to old regime, the autocratic system, the autocrat rule of the Bourbon monarchs, and the different socio-economic political conditions which solely responsible for the outbreak of this great revolution. If you go to the 18th century Europe, definitely we can say that at that time France was ruled by a Bourbon monarch, autocrat monarch. The Bourbon monarchs likes Louis XIV, Louis XV, Louis XVI. They are the autocrats, despot. Due to their oppressive rule, the peoples of France, they fed up. But France at that times waiting for a situations, waiting for a new situations, and the right time was 14 July 1789. the fall of Bastille fort, the principles of divine right theories that was followed by the Bourbon monarchs. Once the Bourbon monarchs Louis XIV told, I am the states. He instructed his subjects that I am the representative of gods. The voice of the king became the law of the deep. That type of situation was there. Again, we can say that the economics condition was also very precarious due to the attitudes of the empresses, or we can say the queen, Marie Antoinette, the queen, who lavishly, spent money for her entertainment. Friends, besides defective system of administrations, there were so many social defectives in the society. The French society was divided into two categories. One is privileged and another one is unprivileged. Privileged and unprivileged. And I can say they are the privileged groups where the clergy, then the nobilities, then the last one, the third estates, that is, you can say, the commoners, the common people of the states. The inequality in society, that is also one reason for the outbreak of this great revolutions. Although scholars and historians of worlds debates about the regions of causes of French revolutions, whatever the exact reasons behind this. As already I have told you, there are so many regions and the conditions which force the French people to raise their voice against this maladministrations. Dear friend, we can say that this revolution, it is not just, take place suddenly. It was a gradual process, a long culminations of dissatisfactions among the subjects, the peoples of that country. And that was happened in France, and the day has come, that is 14 July 1789, after the fall of Bastille forts. These great revolutions started in France. Dear friend, now we'll discuss the causes of these revolutions. First, I would like to share with you the social cause. As earlier I have told you, the society of France was divided into the two sections, privileged and unprivileged, where the privileged were the king's officers like nobles, clergy, and unprivileged, they were the common peoples, the middle class people. Here we can say that this great social inequalities finally gave a great differences between these groups. And finally, that one of the most important reason for this revolution. Another cause was the political cause. Earlier, I have told you the attitudes of the despot Bourbon monarchs like Louis XIV, Louis XVI, Louis XV. Earlier, I have told you Louis XVI told, I am the states. He proved himself as the Lord of the earth. The Bourbon monarchs, they popularized the idea of divine right theories, where they proved themselves as the Lord. But Louis XV has already given statements, given his opinion that to his sons when in his deathbed, after me the deluge. But Louis XVI didn't realize the words of his fathers, and with his queens, Marie Antoinette lavishly collected tax and spends a lot of money in the royal palaces. The despotic monarchs, they didn't think for the right cause of their subjects, their peoples, due to their maladministrations. The French peoples finally fed up and they started the revolutions. Dear friend, if you go to the third cause, that is the economics cause, we can say that due to the war, different war, they wages different wars. The Bourbon monarch wages different war. Due to that wars, a heavy burden, economic financial burden taken place in France, and the common peoples, they paid high amount of tax. The economic exploitations of the Bourbon monarchs was at the peak in 18th century. That was also another reason for the French revolutions. At that times, being inspired with the ideology of and ideas of American War of Independence, thought, ideology, they realized to fought against and raise voice against the Bourbon monarchs. Again, we can't deny the role of middle class, the intellectuals, the role played by the great philosophers like Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Voltaire, Montesquieu. Rousseau's given his opinion that man is born free, but everywhere he is in chain. He tried to inculcate it in the mind of the French people that man is born free, but everywhere he is in chain. He tried to create an awareness among the citizens of France. Another tough philosophers like Montesquieu in his books, The Spirits of Law, where he advocated the theory of separations of the three organs of the governments: executive, legislatives, and judiciary. The French nationalists like Mirabeau, the philosophers Voltaire, they inspired the peoples of France against the maladministration of the French government. And finally, the immediate cause was that the fall of Bastille Fort. Under the leadership of Mirabeau, the people of France, they demanded for bread and butters. They demanded bread and butters. When Louis XVI called for the third estates to solve the disputes between the governments and the peoples at that times, under the leadership of Mirabeau, the common men, the third estates peoples, they try to capture the government's quarters, the palaces, Versailles Palace. And finally, the fall of Bastilles, that was one of the great victory of this common people of France. After that, the King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, later stage, they were executed, and in 1791, the National Constituent Assembly was formed. Finally, dear friend, the French revolutions gave a great contributions to whole world, that is liberty, equality and fraternities and the rights of men. After these revolutions, France also got a new republicans names like a nations. So you can say that this revolution was the significant events in the history of world, history of mankind. In the lateral stage, these revolutions inspires many freedom movements in different parts of the world. Many freedom fighters they inspired with the ideology of these revolutions, and they started to fight against the colonial regimes and also got succeed. Thank you.